All right, shalom aleichem.
Alaikum shalom.
And look like it's, according to our clocks on the East Coast of the United States, where we are coming to our people today, Monday. It's Monday, September 20th, 2021, right? And right now our clocks on the East Coast of the United States of America is looking at 12:13 p.m. That means it's Arab told. So Arab shalom, right? That's a peaceful afternoon to those of my people of Judah. I'm only greeting my people of Judah with peace, shalom. Shalom aleichem, Arab told. And that's also the other 11 tribes of my people of Israel, Yishra Yahweh. I greet them only with shalom aleichem, Arab told. All of the nations I greet with hail. Hail low. Hail low to you. Your hell is low. So since you know your hell is low, then you go to hell. And stay there. That way you'll know it's me. As I greet you with your hair low. But the Judah and Israel, shalom aleichem. Anyway, I said that to say, welcome to another live stream that features a supplement of the gospel of the kingdom that was promised to be preached in all the world for a witness, that's one witness, in the last days, during a certain generation. And this is that generation. And I am that one witness. I am that one witness. And I'm delivering a message that was promised to deliver today. It came from one, the photo image that you see over my head and back of the screen, and back of me on the screen. I am from him. He is known in that body. He was known in that body. That body has now been cremated. Back in May of 2007, that terrestrial body was cremated. If only I can get that through the thick skulls of my people of Judah. Thick skulls of my people. That body was cremated. It no longer exists. And though he went by an appellation that's known to them in English as, I quote, Yahweh ben Yahweh, end quote, in Hebrew from right to left, Yonit Wavhe, Beth Nusafet Yonit Wavhe, end quote, he is in fact Yonit Wavhe. The Elohim, the God of the Hebrews, also known in Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 6 as the mighty God. And he said that. That is who I am of and I am from, as he sent me to his children, Judah. He did that spiritually as well as physically and prophetically in September of 1992. And that meeting had to take place. That meeting had to take place in order for that to be fulfilled. And at the time, it's amazing how I had a vision of that just last night. It's amazing how I had a vision just last night that I showed someone my state badge. They asked me, who are you that you can come in here like that? And it was a woman. I showed her my golden shield state badge. It said state investigator. It also had on it in the vision police. And she saw it, she said, oh, and she stepped back. And she let me through. And that's exactly what I did when I went to go see one, quote, Yahweh ben Yahweh, end quote, with a jail number in the Turner Guilford Knight Correctional Institute, also known as a jail in Miami-Dade County of Florida, back in September 15th on Tuesday. September 15th, 1992. I showed my gold shield to the correction officer at the window, dressed in a pinstripe blue suit, black with blue pinstripe suit. As I walked in the jail and showed my shield, and I wrote down that that piece of paper that you fill out when you want to go see an inmate as a state investigator or police officer or attorney or whatever you want, whatever you were in that position, that you were allowed to go see inmates with physical contact. There's only attorneys, they're lawyers, or some type of government official, whether it be U.S. government or state government, even county government officials, detectives. They were the only ones that were allowed to go see inmates, especially of his caliber that he was charged with at the time. And he was charged by both state and federal government on racketeering and bogus charges that they placed on him at the time. Why? Because they could not find anything to place on him that was immoral or unlawful. But as I filled that document out, I put on it Yahweh ben Yahweh, and I had his your number at the time. And I showed my gold shield to the correction officer behind the window, and he knew me anyway because I was always at that facility for 10 years in that position. They thought nothing of it. As far as they were concerned, I was going to go see Yahweh ben Yahweh, as I was the investigator of his attorney. And I was, indirectly, because he is the attorney. Oh, he is and was at the time, still is, the lawyer of himself. They call that pro per in judicial tongue. And as I placed my weapon up in the locker and whatever else I placed in the locker, wasn't allowed to go in with a weapon, but I walked in with that badge right on my belt, buckle, with the coat open. And the correctional officer came and escorted me up to, I believe, the 6th floor at the time, 6th floor. And then I waited for about 15 minutes as they brought my arm in, handcuffed and shackled, cuffed at the legs, at the ankles. Only wearing a white t-shirt and khaki pants. Now see, some thought I made that up. Some even said throughout the years, Mika ain't went to go see no Yahweh ben Yahweh. No one was allowed to go see Yahweh ben Yahweh. You got that right. That's why I went to see him as no one. Yeah, I went to go see him as no one who was allowed to go see him. Why? Because I went as a son of none. That's why I was able to go see him as no one. Why? Because I'm also known in appellations as the son of none, N-U-N. And so since the son of none went and seen him face to face, and they brought him into that room, the interview room, as we embraced for about 5 minutes, and after we wiped tears from our eyes and sat down, because we both cried like babies on each other's shoulder, he told me what he had to tell me, and I listened and I heard what he said. And at the end of that meeting, he said, "Now you go, because as he released his embrace from me and blessing, go, Mika, you go to the resort to my children, you bless them, you send them my blessings, and I bless you." And that is exactly what I did. Opposed to going to my office that was located in the Civic Center of Miami-Dade County, where all the courthouse is, and the jails, the state building, the public defender's building, all those federal and state buildings. Before I went there, I went straight to the resort, as he told me, on Northeast 2nd Avenue and 62nd Street. And I met a few. And as I told them to come and let me bless you, because I just seen Yahweh ben Yahweh, he blessed me and told me to come bless you, they ran from me. They ran. Said, "Who is this? Come to us lying the way he's lying. Anybody gonna see no Yahweh ben Yahweh? He ain't gonna see no Yahweh ben Yahweh." They say he can't come in physical contact with none of his followers anymore. Why would he come here with such a lie? Well, I did. I did lie. I lied straight down, and then I became the widow's son raised, as he wrote a book on my visit that day. I lied down straight. As a result, my wrote a book called The Widow's Son Raised, because he raised me from that jail. Even in prison for 9 years, he raised me up to be who I am and was before I even went to sleep. From the beginning, the widow's son raised. And that is only one of many applications that I hold today. And for you who don't know that, then you will find out in a few moments. I'm not here to convince you. I'm only here to testify to you and preach this gospel to you as I said I would in these last days. For one witness, I'm that one witness. And as he sent me to you, here's what he sent me to do. As I reveal mysteries and revelations that were sealed that no one else can. No one on this planet can, no one in existence except my art can reveal what I'm about to reveal today. That is read in what you call the King James Version of the Holy Bible. As I continue during this generation to preach this gospel. And this is a series. This is a series of testimonies that began about 3 weeks ago. That featured, the title featured, and I quote, by, that's capital B, lowercase I, in parentheses, the second beast of the close parentheses, then, capital D, lowercase en, end quote. And again, without those 5 words in the middle of those parentheses, you have, quote, by, then, end quote. Which just so happens to be the surname of the presiding pharaoh of the United States of Babylon today. That is spiritually being called Sodom and Egypt. Although geographically it's being called the United States of America, the North Continent, North America of that continent. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
And this testimony in the gospel also features the 3 high holy observances that we are to recognize and obey during the 7th month of our solar calendar, which is the same as their 9th month of their lunar calendar, known as the month called, quote, September. September, 9, with the B-E-R, birth. What? The bit error rate of that suffix. And just as a reminder, and 2 more sundowns beginning tonight as 1, and Tuesday night as 2, will be the observance that we are to observe and be observed as the Day of Atonement. That we will explain more and reveal more on how very powerful that revelation is. That involves Abraham and this filthy daughter, the filthy daughter that comes from his loins, even as she is now known as the children of Milcah today. Milcah, the sister of Israel. All a metaphor that was revealed in by my in lesson number 5 of our Truth for the World's Best Kept Secret. You are not a nigger, that video that we shared a few days ago. You remember? You remember? You remember? Do you remember? M-E-M with the B-E-R that we bringing back today as a re. That means you remember. Do you remember? Do you recognize mem with the B-E-R? The bit error rate? Yeah, you remember. But before we reveal more of that, I'm going to remind you at this time, if you're going to continue to join us, then please take out your study tools. Take out your Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, your King James Version Holy Bible. If you have a Strong's Concordance like this one, take that out. King James Version Holy Bible. If you have or an Old Testament lexicon, Hebrew Chaldee lexicon like this one, even the Greek, then take that out. We also have Greek lexicon. This is the Old Testament. This is the Old Testament. We also have a Greek's lexicon of the New Testament. We have that here too. We have both. We duplicating ourselves. We have 2 of everything. All right? When we have that, we study. We have studied it so much until we have become erudite. You have the King James Version Holy Bible. One like this. King James Version Holy Bible. You have a dictionary. Grab a dictionary or two. Some encyclopedias. Most importantly, grab one of these. One of these. Take notes. Take notes. Take plenty of notes and write. I'm about to give you some notes that you can study. You can use these notes. This be recorded, so you can take this recording, play it back, and study with these facts for yourself that you're about to hear, and see that you've never been taught or heard before. Praise Yahweh.
Praise Yahweh.
So don't forget, 2 more sundowns beginning tonight as one, and then tomorrow night as 2 will be observed as Day of Atonement. And we're going to explain more of that in a moment, especially now that we mentioned the filthy daughter that comes from his loins. Even as she is now known as the children of Milcah today. Praise the Lord.
Praise Yahweh.
But first, I'm going to also add, and allow me to testify to you again today, O Israel, Yehuda Yahweh, and to you of the world, the whole world, that Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh is God. Elohim, he is God.
Okay.
Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh is the true and only living God, according to Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 10.
True.
He's also the God of all gods, according to Deuteronomy chapter 10 verse 17. He's the Lord of all lords and King of all kings. He's great, he's good, he's mighty, and he is terrible. Now, if you don't believe he's terrible, then you go ask all those people who live in the southern states of the United States that suffered one of his whirlwinds, or a few of his whirlwinds, a few. And all those who are still trying to tread water from floods and many other parts of this planet. They are treading waters, even chest deep, walking in the streets of their cities in chest deep water from floods of his terribleness. Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, the God of the Hebrews. So he's great, good, terrible, he's living, he's a living God. He lives, he breathes. He has a heart like he gave you. You have a heart. That's his heart that he gave you. He gave you a soul. He has a soul. As he gave you a soul. And then he put his seed in the loins of Abraham to cause Abraham to be fruitful and multiply. And that means that every child that comes out of the loin, or who came out of the loins of Abraham, even from Ishmael and Isaac, became a child of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. Read that, please. Go to that since you have your Bible. Turn to Deuteronomy chapter 14 and read verse 1. Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse 1. Every single child that's born today on this planet from the loins of Abraham, not Cain or Hillel, they're not the children of Yishva Yahweh, who was Yishva Yahweh being a child of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. Neither Esau, it's another nation. Those who are born of Esau are not the children of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. They're the children of Esau, the red nation, the red garment, hairy nation. Came out red all over like a hairy garment. Another nation. They are not the children of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. Read that, please. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 1, quote, Ye are the children of the Lord Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, your God. Ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead.
That means you're not to let anyone cut on your flesh and put a tattoo on your body. That's ridiculous. Why are you putting tattoos on your body, Judah? I can answer that question. Because they are following one another. They think it's the style to have a tattoo on their bodies. And here you see in the Bible that your God, your Father, He said you are His children. Did not read you are the children? And every children has a father. Well, that is your father. Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh is your father. The man who thought gave birth to a embryo and seeded an embryo of an egg in the body of a woman is not your father. Your father is Yehovah. All souls, according to Ezekiel chapter 18 and verse 4, belongs to Yehovah. I mean, all these women too. You're not the mother of that child. That child belongs to Yehovah as a mother. That child belongs to Yehovah as a father. I mean, Yehovah is a mother and a father. And some of our people are being misled to believe that they are now the daddy and the mommy of a baby. Ooh, that means, see, if that was true, now I got to do my little dance. Before I go to Genesis chapter 1 for a moment, please. Go to Genesis chapter 1 before I give this is a good news. Give good news and bad news. Read verses 27 and 28 of Genesis chapter 1.
Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. Quote, so Elohim created man in his own image.
He did. Who did?
Elohim, God.
You're not man. That means man did not create man in his own image. Okay. I like to see that. I like to see another God come and create another man. His own image. Read on.
In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. Verse 28. And Elohim blessed them.
He did what?
Blessed them.
And did what?
And Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Okay.
That means that this one God, the God of all gods, created man in his own image, and then he told that man and woman to be fruitful and multiply.
Okay.
That means not to become gods and make your own babies and men and women again. Oh. See, if you can do that, then you become a god. If you can create your own man and woman, then you become God. I'm reading, you just read in the Bible, he said, be fruitful and multiply. But you also read that they're the children of Yehovah in Deuteronomy 14:2, 1 and 2. See, verse 2 says that you're a special people.
Okay.
Oh. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. Go to chapter 15, Genesis. Start at verse 1.
Genesis chapter 15 verse 1. After these things, the word of Yehovah.
Who did? Yehovah came?
The word of.
Hold it now. See, they don't know what that means. In other words, in the beginning was the Word. The Word. The Word was with Yehovah, and the Word was Yehovah. Now, then all of a sudden, in the beginning, the Word was made flesh to talk and to become the Word of Yehovah. Right? Not Yehovah's Word, but the Word of Yehovah. So here goes the word of Yehovah that came unto Abram in a vision. They mean Abram actually visualized this word that came to him. He did. Abram actually visualized this particular word that walked up to him and said something to him. What happened? Do what? Saying what?
Fear not.
You know why he said to Abram, fear not? Because when Abram saw the vision, him coming to him, Abram, this vision, this word was so, I mean, my goodness, never seen nothing like it. And Abram even fell on his face. And then the word says, still, that's okay, get up, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Doesn't it say fear not?
Fear not.
Abram, right? And then the word explained to Abram who he was, dressed the way he was, and looking different from anything ever seen after the flood. Don't forget, this is chapter 15 of Genesis. This is after the flood. Abraham never seen anything like this man before, this word. Stand up, it's okay. Let me explain to you who I am. I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. And then Abraham said what?
Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh Elohim.
Now how did he say that? And the man didn't even tell him who he was. That means this man, the word that was made flesh, looked so brilliant and so celestial until Abraham knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And said what?
What wilt thou give me? Seeing I go childless.
I go what?
Childless.
Childless. And what else?
And the steward of my house is Eliezer of Damascus.
Read verse 3.
And Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed.
Except what? Except giving away what?
Given no seed.
You mean Abram had no seed? Abram had no seed. That means he was barren. He couldn't produce children. Is that what it means?
Okay.
Medically speaking, Abram had no children, could not produce children. And what?
And lo, one born in my house is mine head.
Right, read on verse 4.
And behold, the word of Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh.
There you go, say that again. The word of Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh, not Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh.
Right.
See, Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh always sent the word ahead of him. And sometimes he'd send the word for him. Like from the Turner Guilford Correctional Institution, the Turner Guilford Knight Correctional Institution in Miami-Dade County, Florida, he sent the word for him to go bless his children. Because the word of Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh came unto him saying what?
This shall not be thine head, but he that shall come forth out of thy own bowels shall be thine head.
Good gracious, how are you going to do that? Abraham just said, I have no seed. How's he going to do that? Read on verse 5.
And he brought him forth abroad, and said, Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars.
What? Wait, tell the stars. All of a sudden he told Abraham to look at the stars and tell the stars that he thought were stars. They still think that today. My people look up at night, right? They look up at night in the dark and they see lights. They think they're stars, especially when they see one fall. Then they teach them in their schools nothing, even how to read. They teach them in the element schools. They start them out in the element of the schools, of the airy. They call it the elementary school, the elementary school. And then they teach them nursery rhymes like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. How I wonder what you are. Then how you going to turn around and say Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and wonder how it is when you thought it was a star? What you mean, wait, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, how I wonder what you are. How could you wonder that? You just stay as a star. That must mean it can't be a star if you wonder what it is. Especially when it goes shoo. Yeah, that star fell? No, stars do not fall. The only stars that fall are those from Hollywood, California, and they fall on the screen as they die, or in real life, when they're not acting, they fall on the floor, they die, they bury them the next 3 days or whatever, especially the Jewish. Got to get them out of there. That's how they fall. But those lights that you see up at night that move, they go shoo. They're not stars. They're not. That's why I told him to look up at the stars. Tell the stars. Tell them what?
That thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be.
Good gracious. Could you imagine? Now, according to those that move like shoo, according to Psalm chapter 68 and verse 17, there are 20,000 of them. So that must mean that these that have the lights, that they cannot be numbered, are more than those that fly. They can't be numbered. Read verse 6, please.
And he believed in Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh.
He believed in Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh, not the word of Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh. See, because Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh was up there who he told to go tell. He was up there with those lights. And then when that happened, he believed in Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh. Don't forget, he believed in, I-N, Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh. And what else?
And he counted it to him for righteousness.
Read on.
And he said unto him,
What?
I am Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh.
Oh my goodness. Look who's all of a sudden appeared. See, he saw the vision of the word. Right? But when he looked up in the stars, one star came down and landed. See, they didn't put that in here because they don't want you to know. They want you to think a twinkle, twinkle little star. So they didn't put that in the scroll. See, that was the scroll. One landed, came down. That's why he said, tell him. And when he told him, obviously, I hear you, and came down and landed and came right before him and said, I am who?
Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh.
The what?
That brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees,
Mm-hmm.
to give thee this land to inherit it.
Now see, this is chapter 15. In chapter 14, he brought him out of that land. We're going to get to chapter 14 in a moment because I have a surprise for you. Yeah, I do. I have a surprise for you in chapter 14. For now, I'll read verse 9.
Verse 9, quote, And he said unto him, Take me an heifer 3 years old.
Actually, that's not. Go back to 8.
8. And he said, Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh.
See, now he just said he believed in him. Now you're going to ask him a question. If you believe in him, that's why I don't want to skip 8. Didn't he just say I believe in? He believed in him? In verse 6. So why you turn around and doubting him and ask the question in verse 8? Read it. Let's see if he asks the question.
Whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it?
Mm-hmm.
Verse 9.
Verse 9.
And he said unto him, Take me an heifer 3 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon.
All of those are symbolic for people.
Wow.
Especially the heifer. You got a lot of heifers running around here today. That are 3 years old. That 3 is not the 3 you think it is, it's 3-year-old. But all this is symbolic, metaphor, allegorical, prophetical. Go ahead. Verse 10.
And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst,
Mm-hmm.
and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not. Verse 11.
Verse 11.
And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses,
The fowls of the ships that came down, the dead people, the dead-minded people. Don't forget, everyone was still dead after the flood, sleeping the deep sleep. From Genesis chapter 2, when Adam fell asleep, they all went to sleep. So now you got the dead carcasses. Read on.
Abram drove
See,
them
you
away.
think that's carcasses. That's not carcass, that's carcase. That's carcasses. I went over that in the book. You think it's carcass. That's how you spell carcasses. Go ahead. What? Abram did what?
Abram drove them away.
And then all of a sudden you get to verse 12. And the very same thing that happened to Adam in Genesis chapter 2 and verse 22, 23. Allah put Abram to sleep. He did. Don't forget, up in verse 2, he didn't have any seed. What verse was that? You go childless in verse 2. And in verse 3, he had no seed. All right?
Okay.
Don't get lost now. You got to follow this. This is good news.
Mm-hmm.
And bad news now mixed. Because you got to comprehend what's going on today. You have no mother and no father. Except one. That's why I say they're my children. All of them. All of you are my children. What's thine is mine. I gave you to me. And that means what you have come out of your womb belongs to me. Every single one of them. Now you can continue to try and run your own that you think is yours. Go ahead and run it. Watch what happens to you. You make your God jealous because you want to become a God. Read and see.
Verse 12.
Verse 12.
And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram.
A what?
A deep sleep.
Ain't no deep sleep fell upon him. He was put into a deep sleep. It's called anesthesia today in hospitals. Your God, the God of the Hebrews, put Abram in a deep sleep and is going to perform surgery on him. And what?
And lo.
See, all that is in between. There are no commas, there are no punctuation marks in Hebrew scrolls. Every time you see a comma or punctuation mark in lo, that means they took something out, they redacted it and put something else in so they could read in Hebrew. It's so much until what they found became a horror to them. Not to Abram, How could a horror come upon Abram and he's in deep sleep? Those who've been in surgery and had surgery before, you go into anesthesia, you go to an anesthesiologist, they stick a chemical, a drug in you, and it puts you out. You don't know nothing. You go unconscious. So how in the world or in hell could Abram become horrified? Read and see.
And a horror of great darkness fell upon him.
How could that be? And he didn't know nothing. That's because the people, the theologians of England and of Rome who read this, the scrolls, and the Hebrew elders showed them this, they became horrified to know what the God of the Hebrews was capable of doing even after the flood, how he created man in chapter 1 in his own image and told him to be fruitful and multiply. And here we are after the flood. He's getting ready now to bring another nation of people again to what? Replenish the earth. Why? Because it was destroyed by a flood. Yeah, it was destroyed. The earth was destroyed by a flood for 40 days and 40 nights by Mem. So all of a sudden, in order to bring back the seed, the children of Abraham, or the children of Og, Yodewave, he used Abraham to become a father of the nations. What? A terrestrial father, not celestial.
Okay.
That's why from Abraham loin came two many different nations. One celestial, one terrestrial. So how did celestial become celestial? Because Og put his own seed in his loins to become celestial, the children of Yodewave. Read it and see.
Verse 13.
Verse 13.
And he said unto Abram.
Now, after he woke up, right, he said what?
Know of a surety that thy seed.
See, thy seed, it don't say your seed. Thy seed. And Abraham, I went to sleep and I couldn't have children. I had no seed. I was barren. I was childless. And now I wake up from whatever was in darkness that I wake up to see you telling me that thy seed gonna be a stranger, shall be a stranger what?
Shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs.
What are you talking about, y'all? You know what? And what?
And shall serve them.
Uh-huh.
And they shall afflict them 400 years.
Afflict them 400 years. Thy seed. I don't see in this Bible your seed. I don't even see your children. I see thy seed. That's what I see. Read verse 14, please.
And also that nation, whom they shall serve, will I judge.
Mm-hmm.
And afterward shall they come out with great substance.
Okay, now, that seed, now, go to Acts chapter 7, verse 6, read that. Let's see whose seed it is. Acts chapter 7, verse 6. That would be the supplement of where that came from here.
Okay.
Now, you've probably read this before. I've been teaching this since 1979, and you've been reading it. And no one could ever understand it or comprehend it. But that chapter and verse of Acts is going to show you whose seed it was in Genesis chapter 15, verse 13.
Okay.
Read, please.
Acts chapter 7, verse 6, quote, And Elohim spake on this wise.
Now hold it. That means you have to be wise in order for you to know what was speaking and from who. See, he spake on this wise. And it wasn't Abraham who was wise. He was the one of wisdom. And Yodewave spake on this wise that what?
That his seed.
Whose seed?
His seed.
Right. It was his seed. Not Abraham. It didn't say Abraham's seed or your seed. That his seed should what?
Sojourn in a strange land.
Right.
And that they should bring them into bondage.
Yes, bring them into bondage. Not walk into Egypt. Bring them into bondage on ships with chains around their ankles and yokes around their necks, according to Deuteronomy chapter 28, beginning at verse 41 to 68. And what?
And entreat them evil 400 years.
We're the only people, my so-called black people, Negroes, colored people of America, and of the islands, Caribbean, the Bahamas, Jamaica, Trinidad, all those who were brought into bondage in the 16th century on ships, slave ships, which are now are the children of Yodewave. They're the children of God Almighty.
Yeah, true.
That's who they are. They are the children of Yehovah, the God of the Hebrews. According to Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 1, you just read it.
Okay.
They are his seed, his children. And what you're doing when you have one come out of your womb is you are multiplying his children. That belongs to him.
Okay.
All of a sudden, some think that they're theirs. Okay. Go ahead and think that. And make God jealous. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
You are the only thing you would do is you are being fruitful and multiplying as you were commanded to do so by the Almighty God. That means we continue to be body snatchers. And every one of you thought was a daddy or a mama. That's why I say, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins and receive not of her plagues, according to Revelation chapter 18, verse 4. I can only deliver you the message and that you know what is what and who is who. It is up to you to accept Yehovah or reject him. It is also up to you to reject you, accept you.
Okay.
As I testify to you again that Yehovah is God.
Truly.
The only true and living God in existence. There is none else. None. He lives. He gave you life to live as he do. What makes you think you could become God? And with that proclamation, we ask now that you pay close attention to what you're about to hear. As we now take today's proclamation and mix that message with a continuation of a testimony that we brought to you, first brought to you 3 weeks ago. And we have been mixing for the past 3 weeks during the aftermath of what happened to the southern United States. Or do you know? What happened to the southern United States, or the southern states of the United States, these 48 in this country, this land mass, this massive land. What happened to southern states like New Orleans, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, parts of northern Florida, South Carolina, and it's North Carolina, parts of Georgia, and Tennessee, and continued on to Washington, District of Columbia, to the East Coast, which includes Baltimore and the 2 new states that's not so new anymore. It's talking about some New Jersey and New York. They're not so new anymore. And the Pensacola, and the Pennsylvania, New England, and all the way up to Maine, and the neighboring country known as Canada. That one whirlwind did all of that. And to yet another level again today of more natures that's coming, that's going to be released. And Yehovah is going to release that fury on this country, as he said in Genesis chapter 15, verse 14, to continue to judge them. Why? Because they refuse to let my people go. And see, that's going to bring a much different tone. T-O-N-E, A-T. One. A tone that's meant to be M-E-N-T. Atonement. And that at one would be also connected to the altar, the A-L-T-E-R, of Revelation chapter, that you read in Revelation chapter 11 and verse 6, as well as chapter 8. Go to Revelation chapter 11 for a moment. Read verse 3. Let's see if there's an altar there.
Revelation chapter 11, verse 3.
Yes.
Quote, "And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth."
Now they got that clothing from of an altar. They did. They got that clothing from an altar. Now go to Revelation chapter 8 and read verse 3. See, 3, connected to 3, the third day.
Revelation chapter 8 verse 3, quote, and another angel came and stood.
Another one? And said what?
Stood at the altar.
At the altar.
Okay.
Oh, so now there's an angel standing at the altar. That angel is one. See, another. That angel is one of the two witnesses of Revelation chapter 11. And now he's standing at the altar. A-L-T-E-R. And what?
Having a golden censer.
Yes.
And there was given unto him much incense.
Right.
That he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar.
You got that right.
Which was before the throne.
That's right. Before the throne. Before the throne even existed, he had it. He did. And at this altar, we are going to continue to kill the bear. B-E-A-R. Again today, as well as what had now come doubled in this future from back then. Doubled. As me. And Re. Me and Re. And Ma'am and Re. So you don't know what that is yet. Thus fulfilling Revelation chapter 1 and verse 1. So now go to that. Now go to 1 and 1. The first one. First chapter, verse 1. Revelation 1:1. Turn your Bibles. Join us if you decide to join us today in your King James Version Bible. And join us, please. Read, study. It's vital. It's very important that they do that. I mean, something's on the horizon. This U.S. government has something on the horizon. If you do not listen and hear what I'm saying today, if you never have, then you should today. Because we are 2 sundowns from the Day of Atonement.
Revelation chapter 1 verse 1.
Yes, read that, please.
The revelation of Memre Yod-Heh-Waveh, Christ.
The Christ.
Which Yod-Heh-Waveh gave unto him, to shew unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John.
Here's another angel. And he read that right. Your Bible may say something else, but there are no Greek angels. And there is no Greek Christ. Neither Spanish from Cuba. There is no Jesus or Jesus. There is no Jesus of Cuba and no Jesus of Greece. Never was. That's another redaction. Just like they took out and lo and lo and lo and that. They took it out. They don't want you to know. Just like they didn't want you to know that this Christ is a black skin, brown skin complexion. Christ. Bronze skin complexion. The Bible and prophecy tells you it will be bronze in skin complexion. Just like a cup he drinks from. Same color skin, complexion. However, according to this verse, it says that I am here to shew, S-H-E-W. Both ye and you was coming to then pass. Coming and then pass. Got it? All right. Do you comprehend that? I pray that you do. And if so, that means that you that were in attendance from the beginning of this gospel, that you learned that this shew, S-H-E-W, opposed to show, S-H-O-W, in English, according to the language that you speak today, Judah, you know there's a difference, right? And that is according to the British tongue, the British tongue, Brit-ish. It also means that you learned, since you were resurrected, that you have an original Hebrew tongue. And your original Hebrew tongue leaves you a Hebrew word that they substituted for this particular show or shoe that was hidden in the Hebrew word known as Nagad. Nagad is spelled from right to left, Nun, Gimel, Dalet. And this means that you also learn and know that this Hebrew word Nagad, it is also known to be a primitive root word that is aided by the last Hebrew symbol of its spelling, known as Dalet. And this Dalet, and it means, here's what it means. It means properly, to front, that is, stand boldly out, opposite. By implication, it also means causatively, to manifest, to announce. It means always by word of mouth to one who is present, like face to face. That's what this word means to God. Show. Come from shoe. I'm to show you face to face, not over the phone or over the radio, television, live stream, although they can see my face. But you need to come to Miami and get this face to face. Not enough. Specifically to expose, predict, explain. This coming from shoe. You was coming. Praise. Bere. Certainly. Certify. I have to certify this in front of you. Plainly. Profess. Rehearse. Report. To show forth. To speak face to face. Surely. This comes from sure. Also, T-E-L-L. Tell. I'm to tell you face to face. Sure. And I'm also to utter to you face to face. According to Revelation chapter 1 and verse 1. And that comes from S-H-E-W. Shoe. And you can find it in your strong chords under H7200. How about that? 7200. Actually, that's one. That would be give you, yeah. But the one I just shared, the Greeks stole it. It comes from, yeah, though they stole it. That comes from H5046. Is that what you say? Yeah, go to 5046 and you'll see all those beats in there that I just shared with you. It includes also acknowledge and confess, up to confess as a messenger to God. Right? Spell again. Noon, Gimel, Dalet, from right to left. That's where it comes from. Got it? And that's just to name a few. It goes on. Nevertheless, I am again. I am. Here I am again. I am again. Again. Here I am again today. The very same Hebrew celestial soul who stood at this altar, A-L-T-E-R, that is now read today in the English's book, King James Version Bible, called Revelation, that we just read in chapter 8 and verse 3, that you just read, remember? That they, the English theologians, printed to be read as A-L-T-E-R. But remember, I stood before the throne. That means I stood before that throne. And as I stood before that throne, I transliterated it to become A-L-T-A-R. Right? Okay, as Adam. And that's exactly what they did. They put it just like I wanted it, A-L-T-A-R. As I deceived them into doing that. They think it's an A-L-T-A-R. I just got through telling them I stood before the altar. That means as I stood, I put A-L-T-E-R because I was in the east. With the E before the R. Not the A before the R. The A was Adam. And the A also goes for afterward. So here we are with the A-L-T-E-R. As I've been altering ever since. I stood. So now, You're going to read that again. Go back to Revelation chapter 8 so we can find out how this became a seal and what seal it came from. This time you're going to start at verse 1.
Okay.
So you can see what seal it was. That was at the altar. A-L-T-E-R.
Okay. Revelation chapter 8 verse 1.
Mhm.
Quote, and when he had opened the seventh seal.
Which number?
7th.
Now, where does this seventh seal come from? Here you are in Revelation chapter 8, and nowhere is it reading about these seals. I mean, it was. Because these seals are coming from the same one who opened them from this book. The only book in the whole Bible that has 7 seals, also known as 7 chapters.
Okay.
And you're going to find out how in a minute. So, when you open the 7th seal, now see, when this is revealed to a lot who have never heard this before, when they hear it from my voice or read it for themselves as they follow us, they're going to get silent. And we're going to go another half hour to show them how silent it's going to be. In this testimony. Read it and see if I'm making it up.
There was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour.
Right. And there is going to be silence. Because in this next half hour, I'm going to shock you with so much shocking revelation until you're going to be silent. Like, what? Read verse 2, please.
And I saw the 7 angels.
Now, hold on. Now, you just said 7th seal, and how we in verse 2 now we got 7 angels. The same 7 angels that are standing next to each one of the Hebrew characters in his name. And 2 of those angels have a twin. So there's 5 angels and 2 sets of twins to become 7 angels. Which stood before. See, they stood before. They stood there before, already there. And what?
Which stood before Elohim.
And then what? Now see, hold it. That means, see, last Monday we observed the memorial of blowing of trumpets. Right?
Okay.
But you want to know what trumpets? Because there were 7. Each angel had a trumpet last Monday, and you didn't know it. The same one. So the same one with the one name with 7 positions. Now read what each position those angels had in their hand.
And to them were given 7 trumpets.
Right. 7 trumpets. Out of one hand. That means one hand was holding 7 trumpets for 7 angels in one name. And all 7 of these angels is in a book called Revelation. And each one has a vial of a plague in his hand too. And they're being released right now on this planet. Not just the United States. On this planet being released. We just left one in Georgia. We just left another one in Georgia that was there during the same day. I dropped it and left it. And then they publicized in the news about articles the next day. Read verse 3, please. You read verse 3. Read verse 3 again, please.
Verse 3, quote, and another angel.
Another angel. You just read 7. Now here's another angel. This is not 8th. This is one of those 7, not 8. See, there is no 8th angel. Why? Because it's final. That's Mem Sophie. That's when it's done. Mem Sophie means it's finished. I have that in Revelation 2 where it says in chapter 12, I am finished. It's finished. You don't want me to say that. Not yet. Read verse 3 again, please.
And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer. And there was given unto him
Don't
much
forget now, that's A-L-T-E-R now because we're doing that altar. And we're giving him what?
much incense,
Yes.
that he should offer it with the prayers
Okay, go ahead.
of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne.
Now, what's this incense? See, now right away, see, if I will explain this, then those who try to become moral and get back close to you, little while and become an atonement at one with us. They'll go out to a herbal store, smoking factory store, and they'll go buy some incense. And put it up in their house and burn it all day Wednesday. From sundown Tuesday to sundown Wednesday, they'll burn incense all day. And say, they said burn at the altar. I must cover the offering made by fire. So this is my fire of the incense. Being there choking with gas masks. People come and say, "What y'all doing?" You observing the Day of Atonement, baby. God said, "Observe the Day of Atonement, baby." That's what we doing. I'm afflicting my soul, even after being afflicted for 400 years. I'm afflicting my soul. Say it told Abraham, you'd be afflicted 400 years. So I don't know. My math is terrible. I guess I will assume this is part of 400 years, so I'm still afflicting my soul. You have no idea that incense is just a homophone. There's a homophone that means I got to bring some sense into your head. I got to make it sense, in sense. It's going to come in sense. I'm giving you these revelations in sense. They put a C opposed to the S. And then they put it together and put a separator. When you separate the I-N-C and S-E, you separate the N from the C and put an S there, now your C is going to be in sense. Good gracious.
Yep.
So now let's make some sense out of this. Now that we have already straightened out that altar out, A-L-T-E-R, a few years ago. We did that a few years ago. So now it's time for you to adhere, to read what this altar is revealing today in Revelation. Why must you do that? Now turn to Leviticus chapter 23 and see why. Read Leviticus chapter 23 and begin at verse 27. Read verses 27 through 32. 32. Leviticus. That's a part of all of us alive. And don't leave us out. Don't leave it out either. Don't leave it out of us. See, don't leave it out of us. Leviticus.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 27.
Yes.
Also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be an holy convocation unto you. And ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord Yod-Heh-Wah-Beh. Verse 28. And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God, Yod-Heh-Wah-Beh. Verse 29. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people.
Do what?
Cut off.
You're going to find out how you be cut off. And you do not want to be cut off, but you're going to find out how you will be cut off. If you do not do as you've been instructed to do in this testimony that's now on live stream on social media's Facebook. Read verse 30.
And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people.
I'm to do the work for you. That's why you're not to do the work. I'm to do it for you. I'm doing it now. Verse 31, please. 31.
Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations.
See, the work that you're doing is forever. Stop now. You got to hold it for a moment. Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever. This statute is forever. It's for someone who's going to go and reveal ever to you. It's someone who also holds an appellation that's known as ever. It's forever. It ain't for you. It's forever. And ever is here to do it for you. Throughout your generations and all your dwellings. And I'm going to do that. You have to know who ever is and where ever came from. And you have to also know that ever came from everlasting. Ever came from lasting. That's where ever came from. Lasting. That means it will last forever. From, I guess I got to show him that too. You can stay here. Read verse 32. So I can show him who ever is. And ever come from lasting. Go ahead. Verse 32.
It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls. And
You should do what?
Afflict your souls.
Yeah, they added that in there. See, they saw that. The lion theologians of the devil saw that in there, knowing chapter 15, verse 13 of Genesis, that your souls will be afflicted for 400 years. Even your see, the souls will be afflicted, not the body. There's not one body who is here today that was here in 1555. The terrestrial body, show them, bring them to me so I can bow to them, and then help them get the dust off of them or whatever, and I go follow them. You have to go show me a slave from Judah that's been here since 1555. I don't even want to know what they look like, and especially if they still have all their teethus. Still think they got all their teethus? No dentures, have all their hair. Could you imagine what a 467-year-old body would look like? Good gracious. You would want it. Now, if you see a body like that, you would want to afflict that body. We got to flick that body around. Flick.
I got all kinds of snails.
All kinds of snails, males. Good gracious. Imagine that. You finished that? Finish it, please.
In the 9th day of the month at even.
At even. See, the 9th day at even. Now, that means sundown tomorrow will be the 9th day at even. Because what day of our calendar is this? You should spit out just like that.
The 8th day.
This is the 8th day at even tonight. See, this is the 8th day, right? At night would be the even of the 8th day.
Yeah.
Now tomorrow would be the 9th day, and at even tomorrow night at the 9th day at even. Even with what? Even with this day. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, now you finished with that?
From even unto even.
See, from even to even. Even ye should know that now. Even you should know that. Go ahead, what?
Shall you celebrate your Sabbath?
So you celebrate your Sabbath. It becomes a Sabbath.
End quote.
It becomes a Sabbath. Now, it's supposed to be how long? It's supposed to be for who? Forever. Now go to Micah chapter 5, and let me show you whoever is and how we ever come from. Micah chapter 5. See, ever come from lasting. But many did not know this. Verse 2, I'm going to read verse 2. So you'll know, thou. Verse 2. But thou, Bethlehem. Is it Bethlehem? The son of him, Ephratah. Though thou be little among the thousands of Yehudah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me. That he is Yehovah, that me is Memre. That is to be ruler, me, that is to be ruler in Israel. Whose goings forth, see, my goings forth have been from of old. Why? Because Yehovah is the Ancient of Days. He's old. So I am from of old. I'm also from everlasting. There go your lasting of ever. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's just so you don't be confused. And that Sabbath and that everlasting, see, that everlasting was also part of the BER, the Burr. That was also part of the BER, the Burr, as we reiterated that subject of the BIT, the bit error rate, the BER, the bit error rate, that we will do so as soon as we do another one and continue to do that. We're going to do this testimony. As soon as I see we have some more that joined us, we're going to welcome those who just joined us. As they're being told that we're on live stream now, they continue to see the notification on their Facebook when they log in, their timeline of this website, that we're now live stream. I mean, catch it live. Don't tell them what's going to happen with the power, electricity. Shut it off and you can't see it. So join us live if you can. If there's a recording available, that's a blessing. You can watch the recording. Right? Don't forget, we're bringing this to this planet. The whole planet, WWW. The whole wide world. Which is actually another precession. This is a precession of the axis that's moving as moving. At one time it was local motion. Now it's back in motion. Right? That means it's numbered. It's not numbered with a numerical order number, but now it's numbered as, quote, local motion, end quote. That was created from the mystery of their lation. Right? Yes. Cain. This local motion was created from the mystery of their lation. They're spelled from left to right, L-A-T-I-O-N, lation. And that lation from left to right empowers the Asian, A-T-I-O-N, that now become in both the Hebrew and the English idioms as the root and the offspring. Oh my. I didn't tell you that. I'm not going to apologize either, like Apollo. So I got to say that again, just in case we don't get this recording. I said, this local motion, the lation, now empowers the Asian, A-T-I-O-N, that has now become both the Hebrew and the English idioms as the root and the offspring of the suffix of the English's word that gave birth to the prefix of the Hebrew. And that is known to us Hebrews, that was preserved from right to left, to become a testimony forever, E-V-E-R, who is for of the Day of Atonement, forever. I see some doing like, so since you're doing like, let me repeat that, I'll go slower. The BER, the bit error rate, was put under a local motion that was created from the mystery of their lation, L-A-T-I-O-N, from left to right, that empowers the Asian, A-T-I-O-N, that has now become in both the Hebrew and the English idioms as the root and the offspring, the suffix of the English that gave birth to the prefix of the Hebrew, that is known to us Hebrews, that was preserved from right to left to become a testimony forever, E-V-E-R. That when then turned backward from their left to right, now becomes our right to left, that has known to them and to us, true us, as the believers of the R-E-V-E, to become the E-V-E-R. The rever of the ever, and the rever of the R-E-V-E, that now creates the English word that is known today in the Holy Bible, the King James Version Holy Bible, that they place as the last book, called Revelation. R-E-V-E-L-A-T-I-O-N, that I'm to show you things that must shortly come to pass from chapter 1 and verse 1 of that book. That's not the name of the book. That's the revelation of the Asian, of the nation, forever. If you're watching this on video, you got to rewind it and take your time, because I just blew your mind wide open. And this is why we are on live stream today with another special edition that is designed especially for those of you that must now take this testimony into consideration to decide who you are going to follow. Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, man, woman, the false prophets, or some strange god that neither you nor your fathers have known, those that have not made the heavens or the earth. And although you may not have ever heard of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh is not strange to you. You are strange to Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. And not only is Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh strange to you, and you are not strange to yourself. Why? Because you are not stranger in their land. That's why you're not stranger to yourself, because you're a stranger already in their land. You think you know one another, but you do not. You are the stranger that is sojourning in this land that you were told, and you heard a moment ago, and you read in Genesis chapter 15, verse 13, a land that's not yours. Why? Because your God, your Yahweh, placed you here in this land that you read earlier in bondage for 400 years. Read that again. Go to Genesis chapter 15 and read verse 13, please. Again, so they'll be reminded. Some just joined us. They think this land is theirs. Where you from, man? I'm from Alabama, man. Where you from? Kansas? Where you born? L.A.? L.A., yeah. Lost again. Lost again? So where you from? Detroit. I born in Detroit, man. That's my home. My hometown. I'm going back home to Dallas. I moved to New York, but I'm going back home to Dallas. That's my home. That's my people there. You are, yeah. And then we have our people worshiping Muslims. Where you from, man? I'm from Georgia. Where you a Muslim? You're supposed to be from Arab, Saudi Arabia. How many oil wells you own? Did you cry when it kills Osama bin Laden? Osama bin Laden? Osama and Gomorrah? Read that, please. Verse 13. Genesis chapter 15.
15, verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety.
Notice the name is Abram. Ain't been changed yet. And you could be sure of this. That what?
Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
Okay, now we know, according to Acts 7:6, who that his is. That seed is. We just went over that a moment ago. If you join us late, look at the recording, when we're done, and rewind it and play it, you'll see it. We know who that is, that seed is now, right? But the question you should be having is, who was Abraham? Actually, who was Abram? Who was Abram? Without the H-A-M, without me, Olivet Hay. But did you know that the last three letters at the end, H-A-M, is backwards? Mem, Olivet Hay. To become, see, Abram became Abraham. That ends with Mem. It ends with Mem. Abram ends with Mem, and it continued to end with Mem. That means you have Mem twice. Or does he? No. He just took Mem from the middle and put it at the end, so you'll be at the end as the seed of Abraham and get his testimony at the end. To be with Mem. Why? Because Mem would be with Memre and reveal to you what Memre is. Got it? So why would he place Mem at the end? There's another reason. Well, here's why. Because the Mem was placed on the name to be preserved for today, when I give this testimony, that will let Mem, Yod, me, explain, E-X-P-L-A-I-N. You got it? That's E-X, X-Plain, P-L-A-I-N. What's going on today? Not write it down. I want someone to do this so you'll know. It was hidden. You want to know why the word was made flesh? So the word can teach you all things today, even their idiom. Now, I want you to write this down. E-X, this English word, you think of E-X, P-L-A-I-N. You got it? Take your time now, right? E-X, P-L-A-I-N. Now I want a voice that can be heard, that's near to me on this mic, so it can be heard in a microphone. What better voice would it be than yours who's reading? You wrote it down?
Yes.
Pronounce it.
Explain.
Okay, no, I want you to pronounce what you know the word is. What is it?
Explain.
Explain. Come on, I don't cheat. Don't be like that. I don't like cheaters. I don't cheat, don't you cheat. I don't lie, don't you lie. Can we agree to that before we move further? I mean, if we're gonna lie and cheat, then I might as well come off and say shalom and see y'all later. Cause I know I'm not no better than any of the false prophets that exist. I'll become a false prophet if I cheat or if I lie to you. Let's try it again now. You got to behave yourself and try it again. Don't try and figure nothing out, because if you couldn't figure it out for 40 years, how you gonna figure it out now? You've been speaking English for 40 years, or at least 399 years. It took a year for you to learn how to say "yasm, boss." Or nigga gonna be good, boss. Don't beat nigga no more. Don't beat nigga Charlie no more. I had enough. Can I go to the bathroom now? I want to go to the bathroom. I gotta go to the bathroom. So since you've been speaking this English now, they taught you how to speak some kind of English Creole. I want you once again to pronounce the word that you just wrote as explain. Could you do it one more time for me? I want to hear it.
Explain.
Explain. Now, if you follow my instructions, I said I want you to write from left to right. From left to right, I want you to write explain. And you did that, right? So where did S come from? Excuse me? You didn't just say explain?
Okay.
So why you added the S? You said explain. I didn't say. And if I call any one of my 80 million people in this house right now that's in America, that was taught their English by the slave master, America, and told them to write this word down, every one of them that can speak English is going to say explain. And I want to know where the explain come from. Where the S come from? It came from the serpent. That's where it come from. The snake. The serpent, the snake, put it in there so you could pronounce it, so you could miss the plane of memory. He wants you to miss the plane of memory. Do you got it? No, you don't got it. You don't got it. You don't got it. Why? Because I am the one with the mem of the R-E. That's with a mixture of the B that was created from our Beth. That also empowers my authority to loose the seal, the second letter of the English alphabet known as B. That creates the homophone of the insect B, B-E-E, that was found in the carcass of the lion. Yeah, the B that was found in the carcass of the lion. That also proceeds, P-R-O-C-E-E-D-S, the first of the English alphabet known as A, that joined the B, and that also sits between the E and the R, that creates the English word known as bear, B-E-A-R. What bear? The bear that is known now to have 3 ribs between his teeth. The 999 turned upside down to become the 666. The 999 being his birth month, year, and age, and height. His birth month, day, and height. 666, 999. To what? To now become, in the last days, a mixture of a certain wine that is now being held in the cup that held that B-E-R now for 2 weeks. The B-I-D-E-N. The B-I, 5 letters, D-E-N. That became a B-E-R, of the bit error rate. You got to play this again, right? Okay. See, there's a cup. There's a mixture of a certain wine that is now being held in the cup that held that B-E-R with the A missing of the B-E-A-R now for 2 weeks. And now that we mix that B-E-R during this gospel of the kingdom, the B now joins the R-E that also created the B-R-E. Not B-E-R, but the B-R-E, with that R-E that you thought was part of the birth error rite, that also became part of the plain, P-L-A-I-N, with the X in front of the E, from left to right, that you thought was X-plane, but now it's going to become an X-plane. You think, I got to make it an X-plane. If I don't, and the day of atonement gets here, you're going to perish. You are going to perish if I don't do this. That's why you got to become at one with us for the day of atonement, at one with us. If I don't, you're going to fall on the other side of that filthy girl, that filthy daughter. It's a filthy daughter. And if you and or ye do not become part of this mixture of the B-E-R, even the B-R-E, then that means that you will fall into the other cup of wine that is poured out without mixture of the B-E-R, which is what? The cup of the B-R-E. That would then mean that they will become part of the filth of the sister of Milcah. That I'll told you to turn to the book called Milcah. In lesson number 5. And that cup is full of both. You ready? That cup is full of both the sour and bitter, B-I-T/T-E-R, the sour and bitter wine, with the T opposed to the B. And that T is for terrible, great, good, and terrible God, black God, Yodewafe. And that terrible is also the terrible of the indignation of our God and our Ab, Yodewafe. Now go to Revelation chapter 14, let me break it down, show it to you where it was hidden. I sealed it. Now go to Revelation chapter 14, let me show you where it was hidden. Verse 10. No. For proof, start at verse 1. Start at verse 1. We don't want to put them in the middle of anything. Start at verse 1.
Revelation chapter 14, verse 1.
Yes.
Quote, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Sion.
That looked, past tense. That lamb we already identified as Abraham. You got it?
Yeah.
Now we're going right back to Genesis chapter 15. Where you're going to find dread there. Yes, count the stars of heaven. And the sand of the sea. That's how we will multiply your seed. That's that lamb. They thought that lamb was... How would they know it was sealed? I'm going to prove it. You can't see, I looked and lo, and there stood a lamb, already stood on Mount Sion. And what?
And with him 144,000, having his father's name.
His father's name. Abraham's father's name. Did he just told him? Didn't we go back to chapter 13, chapter 15 of Genesis? He said, I am your Yodewafe, thy father. I'm thy shield. Huh? Thy protector. He identified himself as your father, as his father. Read it. And what else?
Written in their foreheads.
Right. Read on.
And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of...
Why is that Heavenly Father's name written in the foreheads? Because the Father's name was released through Seth. When men began calling the name of Yodewafe. That's how he knew the name. And after the flood, he reminded Abraham of the name. Yodewafe. Read it again, verse 2.
And I heard a voice from heaven.
A voice out of heaven? From heaven. As what?
As the voice of many waters.
Only one voice sounds like that. That's baritone. Many waters. What? What many waters? 7 many waters with mem on between each side of them. Front and back. Mem and Memsophi. And some in between. 6 in between of mem and Memsophi. That's 7 angels plus 1. As what?
And as the voice of a great thunder.
One voice. That says a great thunder, not great thunders. And what?
And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps.
That's the other voices, the other angels that are around him. And they what?
And they sung as it were a new song before the throne,
Mm-hmm.
and before the four beasts, and the elders. And no man could learn
No
that
man
song.
can learn that song. But what?
But the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth.
Redeemed from the earth? You got to know who the earth is. And that 100, it still don't say 144,000. Verse 4.
These are they which were not defiled with women.
There's that woman with women. That must mean they were all men? For what?
For they are virgins.
How could they be men and virgins? That's a whole nation of people. And these are what?
These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth.
How is that? Because now that Lamb is here again. Even as a root and offspring of David who come from Abraham. These are what?
These were redeemed from among men.
From among men. Be what?
The first fruits unto Elohim and to the Lamb.
Now see, now you know, first of all, that that God is Yod-Wah-Veh.
Okay.
And to the Lamb must be someone else.
Right.
Because they are together.
Okay.
So how could the Lamb be God? Verse 5. We already know who the God is.
Okay.
Now you got to know who that Lamb is today that was used, that Abraham was used to bring that Lamb here again today.
Okay.
See, this Lamb is not standing.
Mm-hmm.
The other Lamb stood.
Okay.
Read verse 5.
And in their mouth was found no guile.
No guile. Why?
For they are without fault before the throne of Elohim.
Good gracious. That's how that becomes a day of atonement. After the day of atonement, then you'll be found with no guile. How is that? You got to find out. Read.
And I saw another angel
Here
fly,
comes another angel all of a sudden in verse 6.
fly in the midst of heaven,
Uh-huh.
having the everlasting gospel.
Now you got to
preach.
know who that is. It's the same one with all these different angels. Because what angel has the everlasting gospel to preach it to them that dwell on the earth, except it be from Matthew chapter 24, verse 14.
Okay.
And to what?
Every nation
Uh-huh.
and kindred and tongue and people
Saying what?
with a loud voice.
Fear Yod-Wah-Veh and give glory to him. Why? For the hour of his judgment is come. And worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. And read verse 8.
And there followed another angel,
Saying what? Babylon is fallen. Is fallen. That great city. Why? Because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The wine of the wrath of her fornication. Right? And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, read verse 10.
the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Elohim.
Now here comes a different wrath. This wrath is of who?
Of Elohim.
Which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and the presence of the Lamb. Abraham is not here today. Or do you not see that this Lamb is found, endless Lamb is found Abraham? With the A-M in the middle of L and B. Right?
Okay.
Okay, so now, what is the B-R-E? With that read, what's the B-R-E that we mentioned, introduced a few moments ago? You heard the B-E-R. So what is the B-R-E opposed to the B-E-R? The what? The B-R-E stands for bit, rate, and error. It's the same thing, same letter. It's just mixed. It's mixed without mixture. Excuse me, it's mixed with mixture. You got it? Hear me now. The B-R-E is mixed with mixture of a different cup. That's the B-R-E, the bit, rate, and error. that was hidden in the plain. I said the bit rate and error was hidden in the plain, Plain, with the seed of Abram, who was a Hebrew. You got it? Don't leave it. If you ain't got it, raise your hand. I'll come back and get you, because I'm not going to leave you in the ditch. If I have 99 to follow me, I'm going to go back in the ditch and pull that one out so we can have 100 and 100. Yes, we have and 100, not 100 and 100. So I'll say it again. What is the BRE opposed to the BER? The BRE stands for bit rate and error. Bit rate and error that we mixed instead of bit error rate. We mixed to become the bit rate and error. This bit rate and error was hidden in the plain, Plain, with the seed of Abram, who was a Hebrew. Now turn to Genesis chapter 14. Let's prove it. Genesis chapter 14, and we're going to read verse 13. We got to prove that Abram was a Hebrew, and Hebrews are black. All Hebrews are black. You got it? Genesis chapter 14, verse 13. 14.
Genesis chapter 14, verse 13.
13 as in Mem.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Quote, and there came one that had escaped, and told Abram the Hebrew.
See, Abram was a what?
Hebrew.
I always gave us this when he was here with us, as we would go to lesson number 1 and 5, even in the temple on Wednesday night Bible classes, when he was explaining the blackness and who we are as a people, a nation of people. He used this to ask those in the audience who were there. Abraham was a what? Hebrew. And who Hebrews? We are. And how many tribes are there in Hebrew? 12. Who's the 4th tribe? Judah. Who is Judah? We are. And what did Yahweh chose Judah to do? To be a ruler. For how long? Forever, right? Abraham was the Hebrew. He was not a Hebrew. Abraham was the Hebrew, and a father of many Hebrews had he become. Why? For he what? After the semicolon.
For he dwelt in the plain of Memre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram.
They were confederate with Abram. But he dwelt in the plain of Memre the Amorite. So now you need to know why. We should want to know why. We should have that question: why did Abram dwell in the plain of Memre? And in fact, why did Memre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother Aner, why were they confederate with Abram? You should want to know, why were they confederate with Abram? And some of you know what confederate is. But before you answer that question, you got to first find out who was Memre. Let's begin with Mem. See, Memre, or did you see it? That's Mem or Re. Mem, or you put M in it. If you put E in there, you got Mem. But you also have M and Re. But you got Memre, as in it was preserved to do again. Re, as if it was preserved to do again. But it's spelled in Hebrew from right to left. From right to left, it's spelled Mem, Resh, Aleph. From right to left, it's spelled Mem, double Mem, Resh, Aleph. That's Mem twice. That means what? Since Mem twice, that means what? Repeat it. And this first one came from the original Hebrew word, which means strength or fatness. Go to your strong concordance, H4471. See if you see it there. H4471. There's 2 different meanings. Mem, Resh, Aleph. Memre. And see if it means strength or fatness.
Okay.
It does? All right.
Strength or fatness.
Right. But there are 2. There are 2. Why? Why are there two? To repeat itself. To repeat itself. However, the first one of the two are those that are the immoral. They are the immoral and the filthy ones and the unrighteous ones. And this Memre means that this one is going to lose its fat by the sword. This first one, this one. Now go to Isaiah chapter 34. Let's prove it. You don't want to be this Memre. These are the filthy ones, the immoral ones, the unrighteous ones. And they're going to be, this fat, they're going to lose that fat. You know how you cut fat off the meat? The sword? Yeah. The sword going to cut this fat up. Start at verse 1. Isaiah chapter 34. Read verses 1 through 6, please.
Isaiah chapter 34, verse 1, quote, "Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it."
That means everybody's to do this now. There's no room for no one else left. There's a whole planet. Verse 2.
"For the indignation of Yod-Heh-Wav is upon all nations."
Wait, did you just read that in Revelation? His indignation? Read.
"And his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter."
Good gracious. What else?
Verse 3. "Their slain also shall be cast out,
What?
and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses.
Really?
And the mountains shall be melted with their blood."
You could also read this in Micah chapter 1. Begin at verse 2. Verse 4, please.
"And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved,
Good gracious.
and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll."
You know it's coming. This is coming. Didn't it say shall be?
Shall
It's
be.
prophetical. And what?
"And all their host shall fall down,
As what?
as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree."
Good gracious. Verse 5.
"For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, and upon the people of my curse,
What?
to judgment."
The judgment, as in Genesis chapter 15, verse 14. The nation whom I will judge. Now read the fighting part in verse 6.
Verse 6. "The sword of Yod-Heh-Wav is filled with blood.
Good gracious.
It is made fat with fatness."
That's why. It's full of fat. With the blood from the fat. And with what?
"And with the blood of lambs and goats."
Right. Both go get both nations, both black and white. His children and their children. If they don't come, he's going to get them all. That fulfills Zechariah chapter 13, verse 9, 8. Two parts of all that should be cut off and die. And what?
"With the fat of the kidneys of
Good
rams.
gracious.
For Yod-Heh-Wav hath a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea."
Good gracious alive. You see what's coming? You want to be that part? I told you who they are. But there's two. There's two with that name. That name has a meaning. It's not the name, it's the meaning of the name that's prophetical that we're looking for today. Now, on the other hand, the other name is Memre, also, but it's of the moral and the righteous ones that has become. And that is spelled with only one Mem. Remember back in the days, see, Mem was here before. That's why that Memre has two. Why? Because one is preserved for the last days, that he'd be here alone. But one at Mem, who is back here again as the first Mem. The same Mem. So that means this Mem means to beat the odds that came from the air. As a flap of the wings that were given to me by my Yod-Heh-Wav with healing in my wings. Now prove it and go to Malachi chapter 4. Because that day is coming. healing in my wings. May I read that, please?
Malachi chapter 4, verse 1,
Mm-hmm.
quote, "For, behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven,
What?
and all the proud,
Mm-hmm.
yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble.
Mm-hmm.
And the day that cometh shall burn them up, said Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh of hosts,
Mm-hmm.
that it shall leave them neither root nor branch.
Good, great. Read verse 2.
But unto you that fear my name
See, this is the other part of Memre. What?
shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings."
Praise the Lord.
Praise Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh.
That's happening right now. That's those on this side of the memory. And that means, again, it means to beat the odds that came from the air with the wings, as a flap of the wings that were given to me by Mount Ab, Yod-Heh. And that's proven in the same Strong's Concordance under H 4754. See if you see that. 4754. Don't pay attention to the quail meaning. James Strong did that to get you with him. That's not what it means. What you want to focus on is number 1 and A, not number 2, because that's why they put in A. The meaning is dubious, because they didn't know. So you focus on number 1, 4754 H. What do you have?
H4754,
Uh-huh.
Mara.
It means what?
It means to beat,
To beat,
flap.
to flap
The
the wings. Right, of Malachi chapter 4, verse 2. And don't you see they confessing that number A, subsection A means is dubious? They don't know. They don't know. And then they put the kale meaning as filthy. No, that goes with the first group,
Right.
that are fatness, are filthy. Now these wings has a meaning. See, these wings of this meaning are also those of Mount Ab, who hears me whenever I call to him, as he flies on his wings that are found and always in heaven. And they're of the wind. Go to 2 Samuel for a moment. Look at chapter 22. As I share with you this testimony of 2 Samuel chapter 22, I'm going to read from verse 7 through 11. As in 7:11, it's always open. Chapter 22. You have it? Always in my distress. In my distress, I call upon Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh, my Ab, and cried to my Ab, Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh, and he did hear my voice. Yeah, out of his temple. And my cry did enter into his ears. He has ears. Then the earth shook and trembled. They call it earthquakes. The foundations of heaven moved and shook of earthquakes, even the storms. Why? Because he was wroth. And there went up a smoke out of his nostrils, the ship, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet, darkness. And he rode upon a cherub in a mothership, and did fly in a spaceship, yeah. And he was seen upon the wings of the wind, verse 11. They call it UFO today. And that is also a symbol. You can make a note. They wrote it twice in the Bible. The other place is in Psalms chapter 18, verses 6 through 10. The same thing. Now take a look of these wings in Psalms chapter 103. Go to 103 for a moment. Right now I'm testifying to you of my art. The wings that fly. The wings of the wind. Psalm chapter 103, verse 1. I'm going to read verses 1, 2, and 3. As I quote, blessed, bless to you, the Lord Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh. Bless him. O my soul, my soul. O my Ab, Yodewave, my Ab, Elohim, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty. Who coverest thyself with light as with a garment? Who stretcheth out the heavens like a curtain? Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters? Who maketh the clouds his chariot of UFOs that you see? We see spaceships in the clouds. Who walketh upon the wings of the wind? The wings of the wind. You got it? And these three Bible passages came from the righteous of Memre. Again, reference Strong's H4754. And those were and still are the ones that are confederate with Abram. Did you know that? Now we're right back to chapter 14, verse 13 again. It says, they are the ones that are confederate with Abram. So what is confederate? You still don't know what confederate is. Go to your dictionary and define confederate in their dictionary. The dictionary edition. CONFEDERATE. Those that were con but fed a right way. They were con and they were fed and they ate of the righteously. What it means, confederate. You should have something like joined by an agreement or a treaty. By agreement or a treaty. Like an alliance, associated with, combined, right?
To unite in a confederacy.
Yes.
To band together.
Yes. Like they did, they band together on January 6th of this year in the Capitol up in Washington, D.C. They band together. They were all Confederate. Caused a riot in the Capitol building.
Okay.
Confederate. I also have a person who works with, especially something secret or illegal, like an accomplice. I have that on Confederate in my dictionary, which is dictionary.com.
We have synonyms. Ally.
An ally.
Associates. Band together.
See?
Club. Coalesce. Cohere. Conjoin. Cooperate.
Cooperate.
Corporate. Federate. League. Unite.
Wow. Now that word that you see in English, it came from the original Hebrew word known as Baal. Baal, not Baal. Baal. It's spelled from right to left. Beth, Ayin, Lamed. Baal. Baal. Right? Okay. Here's what it means in Hebrew. It means owner, husband, Lord, citizens, inhabitants. Also, it means rulers. A noun or relationship used to characterize. You're going to find this under, go to H 1166, 1167, H 1166. You should also have, it means to marry and to rule over, to possess. This is coming from confederate. They were confederate with Abraham. That means they married Abraham. They became a husband to Abraham in a relationship. Although they were foreigners, they were used as foreign gods with Abraham.
Okay.
This Memre, the Amorites, right?
Okay.
You have that? You see those definitions,
Okay.
those meanings?
So we have Baal under H 1166.
Yeah.
Means to marry,
To marry.
rule over, possess, own. Under A qual, I to marry.
Right.
Be
See?
Lord, husband over.
Right.
Under two,
It's rule over.
to rule over.
Yes. So what does this mean? This means that they are to be at one with me today. All those who are confederate with Abraham are to be one with me today, at one. Atonement with me today, bet. And that is plain. See, that is plain. Plain. That's the plane of Memre. They're confederate with Abraham. And no one ever revealed that before. Obviously, used it as Abraham the Hebrew only. That's all he taught. Abraham was a Hebrew. So you go to Genesis chapter 14, read verse 13. And there came one that had escaped and told Abraham the Hebrew. Abraham the what? The Hebrew. That's where he stopped. And now you know that they all became one with me of the Re, of Emre and Plain. How? How did they all become one with me today? By the power of the prefix that is hidden in the confederate, in the word confederate, which is co. C-O. Don't you spell confederate, the first two letters of C-O? Right? You have C-O. So they became confederate with me with the C-O. So what does that mean? That means that during the day of atonement, during the day of at one with me, at one meant atonement, ye are also to become Baal, or confederate by being a co, with me. You are. And you still missed it. You still didn't see it. You ought to become a co with me at the day of atonement. That means the prefix, the co. What does co mean? Look at your dictionary. What does co mean? Co as a prefix. Co as a prefix means together. And joint or jointly. Mutual or mutually. Co-production, indicating partnership or equality, or like a co-founder or co-pilot. And every jet airliner, a commercial, has a co-pilot. And although Ab said he's the founder of the nation of Yoruba, well, guess what? He also has a co-founder. Because there's one who is like Yoruba. And I mean, I wouldn't have found him again. It's Ezekiel 34:11. I will both search my sheep and seek them out. So how are you to do? How are you to become a co with us? As in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16, to be caught up in the air with us with the wings, right? You ought to become a co with us. So how are you to become a co with me? How are you to become a co with me? How? By coming to me. By coming to me. Or just come, C-O-M-E. And if you just come, C-O-M-E, then you would be a co with me. Write it down. Write down C-O-M-E. Write it down. You can see it? Write it. Write C-O-M-E. And when you write it, separate the O and the M, space it between, and you'll become a co with me. You think it's come. Not come. That means what? Now you're to reason with me. Come down, let's reason together. Co, you thought it was come. No, it's co with me for the day of atonement, preserved for the day. I'll write back now, Revelation chapter 1, verse 1, to show you things to come. See? Show you things to come. C-O-M-E. Become a co with me when? Through the day of atonement, 2 more sundowns. Go to Isaiah chapter 1, and let's reason together. See, now that I have you, now you got to come now. You got to C-O-M-E with me now. You got to C-O-M-E now. Be a co with me now, and let's reason together. You got Isaiah chapter 1? Look at verse 18. Right? 2 9s and 3 6s. Right? C-O-M-E. Come, co with me now. And let us reason together, said Yoruba. Though your sins be as scarlet of the memory of the other side, they shall be as white as snow if you come on the other side, my side of memory. Though they be red like crimson, like Esau, they shall be as wool, as the woolly hair on your head. Don't be silk like the crimson hair. If ye be willing and obedient, Ye shall eat the good of the land, and not the fat of the land, and become with the sword, the fat of the sword. But if you refuse and rebel, ye shall be devoured with the sword. There it is. For the mouth of Yod has spoken it. The mouth of Yod has spoken it. Not Yod's mouth. The mouth of Yod has spoken it. I just did. End of verse 20. End quote. That means after the co, after the C-O, the co, then there is an N in Confederate, isn't it? There's an N. You got C-O-N, don't you? And then you're left with Federate. Okay, that N represents the none. The none. That means that those who do not become part of the CO will be subjected to what follows after the N, the none, which is Federate. What? Didn't it? Come on now, stay with me. You are to be with me. Come. Let's read together. Come. C-O-M-E, right? Co with me. Now, if you refuse, like I just said in Isaiah chapter 1 and 20, if you refuse, then you'll be left with the N. None. That means you will follow what follows the none, and you become Federate. Then when you become when you become Federate, right? That means that they will be in a co-federate of the CY. Yeah, they would be no N. They would be co-federate because they're already in it. The N makes them automatically in it if you don't come before the co. Before the N, that's co with me. So if they don't be co with me, then they fall into the N. Because who comes after M? N. Right? So since they don't want to come with me, Mem, they come with none. And whatever follows none, they will become part of that which is Federate. That means they will also become part of the CY, Confederate of the CY. Like the CYF or the CFY. The CFY that created their own little group with the bald-headed fella. They call it the Confederacy of Yahweh or something like that. Huh? It's the Celestial Federation of Yahweh. That's what they call it. So that means they would be part of the CFY. They thought it was CFY. Celestial, yeah? That's celestial. That's Confederate. That's the co. That's the co of the FY. They would be the co of the FY and be left with the CY. Because we're going to replace the F and put the C there to become CY of the Confederacy. See, because the FY not there, but Confederacy, the CY is there in the Bible. Now go to Isaiah chapter 8 and let's see. It's all prophetic. It's all in the Bible. I'm coming from the Word. See, the Word was made flesh, wasn't it? The Word was made flesh, so now the flesh will show you where to go to in Isaiah. It said I will show you. I will show you from Revelation chapter 1 verse 1. So now look at it in Isaiah chapter 8, begin at verse 1. So you don't become part of that. You got to co with me. C-O with me. Come. There's reason together. If not, you'd be CY of the Confederacy. Now, I want you to read, start at verse 1. If we get ready to close.
Isaiah chapter 8, verse 1.
Yeah.
Quote, moreover, Yod-Heh-Waveh said unto me.
Said to who? Me. Memre, what?
Take thee a great roll.
And I got the great roll. It's right here. I'm reading it to you. I took a great roll and unrolled it, and I'm reading it. And you saw me. I sat here for hours this morning writing. Read what I did.
And write in it with a man's pen concerning.
Now, see, hold it. See what you have here. You're not going to be able to pronounce that. No. See what you have. See, we went over that before. Don't even try it because I'm the one with stammering lips. So don't you try and take my job. I have a strange tongue and stammering lips, so let me do it with my stammering lips. That way I step in front of the bullet with a bulletproof vest on and I'll stay before them. All right. See, that's not one word.
Yeah.
That's why you get ready to mess up.
It's like,
yeah, you're getting ready to mess up. That's 4 original Hebrew words. 4 that were juxtaposed together to seem as though it's one Hebrew word. And here's how it's pronounced. It's pronounced Meher Sheol Kaz Baz. Mahel Sheol Kaz Baz. You got it? Again. Mahel Sheol Kaz Baz. And here's what it means. It's 4 words, but it has one meaning. Swift is booty, speedy is prey. Go to it. Go to your Strong's Concordance. Go to your Strong's Concordance. You'll find it. It's there. You got your reference? Well, let me see if I got the. I'm going to tell you what concordance is under. Go to 4122. H 4122. That means somebody got a swift booty. I mean, you got to have a swift booty to get to me now.
Yep.
You got to be fast. Remember to fly the eagle, the wings. Characters, right? You see it? From right to left. Mem, Hey, Resh, Sheen, Lamet, Peth, Sheen, Beth, Zion. 4 different words. Each word has a meaning. Swift is booty, speedy is prey. The first meaning falls on the 41:18. It's from 41:18. That means hurrying, speedy, swift, and quickly. You got to come quick.
That's right.
That's the first one. Right? That's 41:18. You should see it there. The second one is 79:98. They produce Sheol. That means spoil, booty, and gain. The third is 23:63. Kosh, that means haste again. Hurry. Better hurry, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And the last one, with Beth, is 957. H 957, Baz. That means spoiling, robbery, prey. But actually comes under with the double. That's actually with the double Zion. It's actually falling under H 962, the etymology of it. That means prey upon. Prey and seize. That means I have to take some people very quickly and run with them. Run with them to the wilderness. Now you're right back at Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. The woman, sun-clad woman, flee into the wilderness with a child. You got it? Now go back and read that. I don't know if you can pronounce it now, but try it again. Don't pronounce it. Just go swift as a booty.
A man's pen, verse, I said chapter 8, verse 1.
Yeah.
Moreover, Yodevave said unto me, take thee a great roll, and write in it with a man's pen concerning swift booty.
Swift is booty.
Swift is booty.
And speedy is prey.
And speedy is prey.
Now read on, as you got that out of the way. Read on. Verse 2.
Verse 2. And I took unto me faithful witnesses to report Uriah the priest and Zechariah the son of Jerechiah.
Now verse 3, you're going to come across again. Now just say the same thing. Read verse 3.
And I went unto the prophetess, and she conceived and bare a son.
Now that son is Judah. Because the name of the son is another name for Isaiah and Judah. I mean, another name for Israel of Judah. Read it, you're going to see.
Then said...
No, she conceived and bare a son, and what?
Then said Yodevave to me...
Directly, but...
Call his name...
Now, you know he ain't say call his name that.
Right.
Let's call his name when they are with you in that land, me, as you write. Call his name Judah and say, you better come, be swift as a booty, because you're going to be a prey to the devil if you don't. That's what's going to happen. And this is also the plain. This is also the plain that was very difficult to the one revealed as Memre in Genesis chapter 14, verse 13 with Abram. The Hebrew. Why is that? Remember X-plane. Why? Because only Abram could have comprehended these 4 words that were sealed to be loose as one today. Only Abram could do it. Because why? He was a Hebrew. And Memre was not. He was an Amorite. Remember? So why was that put there? Because it was preserved for the last days to those that will come to me and be a co with me during the end of the day of the atonement, the day of atonement. And when they come to me, I'll teach them what this is. Memre couldn't do that because it was not plain to him. In fact, this entire month, the 7th month, is also of Mem Yod, me, the whole month. It was preserved for this generation. And those 4 Hebrew words were not meant for Memre, who was an Amorite, but they were meant for ye today, Judah. Remember why? Because Memre was a sayer and not a doer. He was a sayer of the word and not a doer of the word. But those that are doers of the word and not a sayer like Memre will be able to say these 4 words very plainly as I teach you. Where? In our plane, P-L-A-I-N, and not planes of memory. Now read verse 4, because it's plain to you now. Read verse 4.
For before the child shall have knowledge to cry.
Now you see? Now you have knowledge to cry, because I'm teaching you how to cry. As I went to 2 Samuel and taught you, as we cry, I'll hear us, and he come down. Why? Because he's wroth. And what?
My father, and my aim.
See, that's who he is. My father and mom. He's your mother and father. Your father and your mother. The riches of who?
Damascus and the spoil of Samaria.
The Americans. Should be what?
Taken away before the king of Assyria.
Got that right. Read verse 5.
Yod-Heh-Vaveh spake also unto me again.
Again saying what?
For as much as this people
refuses the waters
of Shiloah that go softly and rejoice in Rezin and Remeliah's son.
Now what?
Therefore, behold,
what he gonna do?
Yod-Heh-Vaveh bringeth up upon them the waters of the river.
And that's why you have these floods that are going all across this planet today. And what else?
Strong and many.
Many floods. Go look on YouTube. You'll see them. Even who in America?
King of Assyria.
Right. Even they got floods here in the United States. New Jersey, New York, and the South. And what?
And all his glory. And he shall come up over all his channels.
And do what? And run over all his banks of water. And what? In verse 8.
And he shall pass through Judah.
Even Judah. And what?
He shall overflow and go over.
And he shall what?
Reach even to the neck.
Even to the neck they tread in water. And what?
And the stretching out of his wings
shall what?
Shall fill the breadth of thy land.
Who? Oh, who?
Emmanuel.
Oh, Emmanuel. I was with us. Verse 9, please. So what?
Associate yourselves.
Who?
O ye people.
And what?
And ye shall be broken in pieces.
Go ahead and associate yourselves with them if you want to. You will be broken in pieces. And what?
And give ear.
And what's going to happen?
All ye of far countries.
You better do what?
Give ear.
And do what?
Gird yourselves.
And what?
And ye gird yourselves.
And what happened?
And ye shall be broken in pieces.
I repeat. That's repeat. You're being warned twice. So you better do what in verse 10?
Take counsel together, and it shall come to naught.
Go, you see?
Speak the word, and it shall not stand.
Why?
For Elohim is with us.
That's why you have Emmanuel. You just heard Emmanuel in verse 8. He's with us. Verse 11, please.
For Yod-Heh-Vaveh spake thus to me with a strong hand.
I'm the strong hand. And instructed me that I should not walk in the way of his people, saying, say ye not a confederacy. A CFY. Why? Because this word, as it appears here in English, came from the original Hebrew word known as kashar. Kashar. And you know what it means? It means conspiracy, treason, an unlawful alliance, to bind, tie, bind together, lead together, conspire, to bind and confine together, to lead together as one group, to be bound to them, to be bound up with them, to bind fast. Go to Concordance H 7194 and 95. That's what it means. You want to be a confederacy and not be confederate with us, but a confederacy with them. Don't be confederate, but be confederacy. All right. You have it 7494 and 95. 7194, 7195. This means what? This means that there are some that are not of the Confederate, that are of the Confederacy, that are all them are of this against you warfare. They are all against you warfare, and they are conspiring right now against you warfare in treason, unlawful alliance, to be bound and tied together, and they're going to be bound and tied together too. Read verse 12. Complete that. It says to all them.
Verse 12, in completion,
Yeah.
say ye not a confederacy to all them to whom this people shall say.
What?
A
Confederacy. Good gracious. Sure what?
Neither fear ye their fear,
No.
nor be afraid.
Why? Because read verse 13.
Sanctify Yod-Heh-Wavi of hosts himself,
And let him what?
be your fear,
That's right.
and let him be your dread.
That's the dread of the H-U-N. The Hun dread. You got that?
Okay.
Praise the warfare.
Praise the
I pray that you have that. That's just the beginning. I have not even touched on anything yet. I really haven't. Now go back as we close and read that again with the comprehension. Go back to Genesis chapter 14, read verse 13. Now as you know who it is and what it means. And now you know why one came to escape.
Okay.
I'm that one who escaped. You didn't know that. I'm that one who escaped. Why you think it says so up in the same chapter?
Genesis chapter 14, verse 13. Quote, and there came one that had escaped, and told Abram the Hebrew,
Mm-hmm.
for he dwelt in the plain of Memre the Amorite,
Right.
brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram.
Notice it did not say who escaped.
It,
It just says he dwelt there. One that came in the script. All right. That's right. Look at verse 12 so you won't be confused. So you see it didn't mention who it was.
okay.
Look at verse 12. Read that.
And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed.
And departed. And you get to verse 13. It didn't say who it was. But the Masons, the Freemasons, and those theologians of England, they knew who it was. That's why he said it would be number 13. They knew it was Mem.
Okay.
They knew it was Mem who it was that escaped. And the proof is, Melchizedek is there too. The proof is, I'm the only one who could have revealed that to you today. And when you get to verse 18, which is the 2 nines, it tells you who it was.
Okay.
Followed by a conjunction. Read it so you can see what was there.
And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High
Right.
Elohim.
And then we read verse 19. Where did he come from all of a sudden?
Right.
It tells you who it was in 13.
Right. And he
Under
blessed
Mem.
him
Mm-hmm.
and said, blessed be Abram of the Most High Elohim, possessor of heaven and earth.
Right. And now you want to know, now you know, for those who do not come, as we close, you got to go tell them what's going to happen to them. In Revelation chapter 14, read that again. Revelation chapter 14. If you want to stay on that side of the Confederacy, and don't want to come on this side of the memory, remember there's 2 memories. One with the double Mem, and one with one Mem. You better come to him with the one Mem. If not, you're going to fall into the other cup of indignation.
Yep.
You got chapter 14 of Revelation? Just read that one verse. Well, read those two verses. And verses be fall into the cup of indignation. Verse 10. Read verses 9 and 10, please.
Revelation 14, verse 9, quote, "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark in his forehead,
Either the double Mem, the Memre.
or in his hand," verse 10, "the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Elohim, which is poured out without mixture
Without mixture into the cup.
That's the
of his indignation.
That's the word.
that's the one.
And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, and in the presence of the Lamb."
Praise the Lord.
Praise your Lord.
There's nothing else I could have thought of better to do on a Monday, especially since we are retired. We're not unemployed. Oh, we're always working, and we're always getting paid for our work.
Okay.
But we certainly want to thank and say to all those who join us today, and we sure cherish your presence. We'll cherish it more if you come. Be a CO with me. Come to your welfare. Be a CO before it's too late. Praise the welfare.
Praise your Lord.
With that said, again, Torah, continue to study. Practice what you study. Practice what you learn, as long as it's moral. And don't forget to stock up, too. We're in that dearth. Stock up on your food, water. Get your gas masks already. I haven't said this for a long time, since the editorial during tele-study, pre-session, in-gathering. Yeah, stock up and get ready for the worst is coming. Hadn't gotten here yet. The worst is yet ahead. So Torah for those who join us, and remember that your father and your mother, your father and your mother, who are in heaven, your Habji, and so do I, your mother and your father,
Yeah.
here on earth, on this planet. I say Ahab, yes, I love you. Anoki Ahab, Ani Ahab, I love you forever, forever. Shalom Aleichem.
Alaikum Shalom.
And Arab Tov.
Eretol.